Hi, this is Pam Batchelor from Johnson County Public Schools, and the purpose of this screencast is to show you how to create a manual assessment in Schoolnet. To get started, from the NC Ed Cloud user ID application page, click on the Schoolnet icon, which is the red icon. And then from the the Schoolnet homepage, you're going to go over to the dashboard on the left-hand side, which is the navigation menu. Under Assessments, you're going to go to where it says Test, and you're going to go to Manual. All right, so we're going to create a manual test, and this is recommended for all subject areas other than science and math. Science and math, we recommend you use the Express test. All right, so I'm going to make this test, and I'm going to choose a subject area. So this is going to be English language literature, and it's going to be an 8th grade test. And then for my test category, it should always be my classroom, which is probably what you only have. And then under preferred standards document, we're going to make sure it matches our subject area. This is what causes a lot of errors in Schoolnet, is if your subject of your test does not match your preferred standards document. The test item defaults or how does the test appear. I always leave it to default, so that way it's the closest thing that the students will have to the online testing that they'll take at the end of the year or semester. Under test settings, if you wish to use accommodations for your test online, such as line reader, magnifier, or text to speech, you can enable those for this test right here. And then you're going to go down to the co-authored settings. If you wanted to make this test so you can co-author it with a coworker, you would click on the Enable button, and then you would search for them using their last name, comma, first name, and selecting them. And then I'm going to go to Generate Test, which is the blue button. So it's going to generate my test. And for the first item, I'm going to go under from Item Central because I want to use the item bank that is within Schoolnet. So for this test, I am demonstrating an English language arts test, and for that, I'm going to look by passage and not by question. If I wanted to look for by question, it would be under the Items tab, and I would just go to my standards. But for passages, I really want for this ELA test you look by your passage. So I'm going to go under passages and then standards. And then I'm going to look for my 8th grade language arts curriculum. And then I'm going to look for my particular standards. And then I can drill down using the plus arrows to specific objectives. So I'm going to click on this objective right here, determine the meaning of words and phrases. And then I'm going to click on View Results. Now, depending on how many questions or passages you're asking Schoolnet to load, it could take 30 seconds to a minute to create. And then you can just go under and you have your list of passages, and your passage is on the left side. On the right side, you'll see some details. So I can click on the More button to see this whole passage, and then I can see that there's 6 items associated with it. Click on the View button to view the passage and the items that are aligned with it. All right, so I'm going to go down here, and where it says items linked to the passage, I can click on Expand All to see all of the questions. This looks good. So I'm going to click on Add to Test. And so I now am going to have my test with 1 passage and 6 questions aligned to that passage. This is the test detail page. You'll see the name of your test, the test stage, your instructions. So if you wanted to add text instructions, video instructions, or a picture, you can do that, and that would come up on the test before the students start taking the test. Your test content is on the right side of the page. Your test options are on the left. All right, so I'll see my passage and my items. If I wanted to remove any item, I go under the actions and I can say remove from test or replace, and it will take me back to the passages, and I can choose another passage or questions to add to the test. If you wanted to reorder the test or delete multiple questions, you go over here on the left side under Customize Test, and you can click on those as well. And then we're going to go ahead and, go through the test stage now that we've created this test. If I did want to add additional passages or items under test content, I would go right here to add item, and I'd go back to item central where I just was and add another item or passage to the test. But I'm going to go ahead and assume that my test is now ready to go. So I'm going to click on ready to schedule. It's going to say, do you want to proceed? And you say okay. And then you're going to actually go to the schedule button and click on that. And now that moves our test into the actual schedule settings where we have our start date, which is the first day we want students to be able to take this assessment, our end date, which is the last day. And I always recommend giving some extra time because students might be absent. And then you have an option for preventing students from accessing the test results until after the end date. And then right here where it says online test delivery options, this is very important. In order for the assessment to be given with accommodations, you have to use the test nav browser. All right, so we're going to use the test nav browser. And then the online passcode, you can actually edit this to be something more user-friendly for your students, but this is the passcode the students will take once they log in, just like we do to Schoolnet. They click on the red house icon and they can click on the take a test page and they enter this passcode. You can show the student scores among submission. You can enforce a test time. So if you wanted them to be able to take it only at school or only at home. Time test. My favorite option is to track and display student response times. You can also scramble question order and answer choices. However, this is a language arts test, so if I scrambled my question order, I risk the chance of my questions being disconnected from my passage. So do not scramble question order on English language arts tests. All right. The last thing you have to do is you just have to assign it to your students. So you'll have a quick assignment right here button that I do not have with all of your students, or you can edit that to just be individual students or individual sections. Click on the save button. And now your students, your test is ready for students to take, except for the accommodations. If you use accommodations, you'll notice you have this other step here where you have to publish it to TestNav. You'll get a yellow notification box and it will take about 10 to 15 minutes to publish your test to TestNav. Okay, once you have published your test to TestNav, you cannot make any changes to it without having to republish it to TestNav because it is literally generating the text-to-speech or read-aloud version of your test. So my test is now scheduled. It's ready for students to take. I just need to give them this online passcode and they will be ready to take the test online. If I have students that I need to print a copy of the test for, under test actions, you'll see that there's a student test booklet where I can download a PDF or a Word doc copy of my test, and students can take it on paper and pencil. You also have the ability to generate answer sheets, so students can take bubble sheets for the test, so that's another option as well. So this has been how to create a manual test in Schoolnet, and please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.